Hi there. So this is page 5 of the study guide. This is a really good page to complete because it has 3 different systems of equations, and you can choose one method. See, it says method of choice, right? You can decide what kind of method you want to use, but you have to use one method at least once here. Okay. Just show you how I would have done it. For the first one, I see a system here, right here. And I wanted to see if I could substitute this one. So if I got a value, so if I kind of tweaked this equation here and got my x alone, then I could substitute this amount into my other equation. So let's see how I did it. So over here, x minus y equals -2. I basically I added actually y to each side. So I ended up with y minus 2 there. Okay. So then over here, what I did is I got whatever I got for this value here, my x value, I substituted it in these parentheses. So if I go back to this second equation, all I did is I took this, I transferred it over here, but I stuck in, instead of the x, if you think about it, right? I put its equivalence, which is right there, what it's equal to. Okay, so then I literally just solved for y. 7y minus 14, just wink and smile, kept everything else, and then if I go down here, I just combine my like terms, which is 7y, 2y, and kept my, to get 9y, and kept my -14. And then I ended up with 9 on the left, and I am dividing 9 by 9, and I get 1 for y. So now I have my y value, so I am not done yet. I like to circle it because then I know I have at least one of the coordinates, or I should say one of the, I guess I have the y part of the pair. So then over here, what I did is, this is when I, if you think about it, I substituted my y. All right, put my y back in here. So this is the equation I actually used. So again, I took my value for y, which was 1, and I plugged it in for y, and I solved it. So I got -1. So my solution then is in the box, and I put parentheses around it. It's -1, 1. For the second one, you'll see I chose elimination, but let's just see why. If I scroll, zoom out, I guess. So I see this is lined up pretty nicely. If it's already lined up nicely like that, you could always try elimination. That's what I like to do. And I decided to work with my y's. So I have 5 times 4. So if you think about it, if I multiply the whole top by 4, I'm going to get 20y. If I multiply the whole bottom by 5, I'm going to get 20y too. And then I can just eliminate them. So that was my thinking here. But again, there are definitely different ways to do this. So over here is my work for this. Maybe if I zoom out, yeah, that's probably a little bit better. But I got my 4 times 8x is 32x. 4 times 5y, 20y. And then I have 4 times -13, which is -52. So I basically made an equivalent equation by multiplying everything by 4. And then the second equation, I multiply everything by 5. So 5 times 3x is 15x. 5 times 4 is 20y, and then 5 times 10 is 50. So what I'm doing is I'm subtracting the whole. Now I'm going to zoom in a little more. I'm subtracting everything about this equation, the whole thing, which is in parentheses. I like to put subtraction signs if I am in fact subtracting the whole equation, so I remember, because it's easy to forget to subtract each one. 32 minus 15, I'm going to get 17x. My y's cancel each other out. -52, pardon me, minus 50 is -102. I divide 102 by 17. I get 6, and it's going to be negative because it's a -102. So now I have my x value, which is -6. I'm going to plug it back in. So hopefully you can tell which one I plugged it back into. It shouldn't matter though. I took my -6, which I found, I decided to plug it into the second equation. So 3 times negative 6 plus 4y equals 10. So again, I just plugged it into the initial equation. I went through my steps and I got y equals 7. So in essence, I got my ordered pair. So x comes before y, so I should have negative 6, 7. Great. Last one, this is the graphing one. This is probably my least favorite because it takes a little more time, at least for me. And if you don't have a graph, you have to make one and it's not as accurate. So it's still fun, but it's always better if you have a graph too. So here we go. Don't forget that this one, it's important to get this into the right form, which hopefully remember is y equals mx plus b. So let's check I have this equation. It looks like neither of them are in the right form, which is why I had to do a little bit of work here. This is my work to get this equation into the right form. So I am trying to isolate my y in essence. And I moved my 4x over here. I divided by negative 3. So I end up with this as my first equation. And then for the second one, it was in this form originally, 2x plus y equals 4. So all I did was I subtracted 2x from both sides. So I end up with negative 2x plus 4. And again, I want to get it in that form. And then I ended up making a makeshift kind of grid here, and I did some of the tick lines. And I ended up showing my graph, and the solution ends up being 3, negative 2. Okay, so there is that page.